Hey, hello, and howdy everyone. It's Will here at Craftsman Real Estate, and today we're going to talk through how to figure out what your home can rent for. There are some keys and some factors here that I'm going to borrow from a common example. How many different foods do you know of that have one ingredient that is a tasty dish? Not a whole lot, because the spice of life comes through mixing it right. So you want a few different ingredients, and that makes a killer recipe. And the same way, we've got our rent recipe. So our rent recipe consists of a rentometer report. Let's check Zillow, and then let's check the gut. We're going to go with our gut after we've consulted the resources. And what I'm going to walk you through in the next few minutes is each of those. So here we go. Using a sample property, 517 South Midwest Boulevard. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath home in the Midwest City area. And this is step one of our rent recipe, rentometer.com. Some people say rentometer. I think rentometer sounds a lot better, so I have no idea what the company would prefer, but I'm going to say rentometer. And rentometer is not going to be like your bulletproof valuation model. There's a lot of nuance here, but the purpose of it is to give you a good comparable rent sampling. So what we see here is that our sample property is located just to the left, or just to the east side, west, sorry, check my directionals, of Midwest Boulevard. And like we said it was a 3-bed, 1-bath house. So we've sampled here 3-bed, 1-bath houses. And I don't know if this property owner has gone in and added a second bath. So I wanted to show 3-bed, 1-bath houses like number 2 here, B, and 3-bed, 1.5, 3-bed, 2-bath. That way we can get a feel for what does that second bath or the second half bath add to our value here. So it looks like we've got a direct comparable here, 613 South Midwest Boulevard. So it's going to be just up the street. It's a 3-bed, 1.5-bath house, 944 square feet, rents at $800 a month. All right, that's a good data point. Then we've got B, that's on the other side of the street, rents at $995. It's 1,100 square feet, and it's a 3-bed, 1-bath house. All right, that's great to know. And then finally, and we'll kind of cease this vein. This 1,400 square foot house, that's going to be bigger than our subject property by quite a ways. It rents for $1,200. So interesting value add opportunity for the future, but for now we want to consider these three: $800, $995, and then this one right here, $1,200, 3-bed, 3-bath. Okay, so that doesn't compare. There we go. $995 for a $1,200, 3-bed, 2-bath at the same address. Somebody had listed the wrong data. And so this is why you have to dig deeper than the just boilerplate stats that you'll see on the main search page. We have a pro account, so we see some statistics that are a little bit deeper. You can run a pro report usually for free up to the 5th one you run on Rentometer. So looking at the sampling here, we want to pull heavily, just like you do when you're valuing a property's sale value. You want to pull heavily from things in the immediate area, and then you want to be a little leery or a little slow to pull things from other neighborhoods. So B over here, K, R, these are, the further we get away, the less comparable you are. So we've got a 3-bed, 1.5-bath at $800. We've got a 3-bed, 1-bath at $995. We've got a 3-2 at $995. We've got a 3-bed, 1-bath at $750. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take 617 Frolic Drive here. Let's drop it into our good friend Mr. Googs and see what we have on Zillow. All right, there we go. So let's just get a feel for the quality of this home. Hardwood floors, freshly painted, looks like faux stone countertops, but it's cute. So not a gorgeous reno, but cute. So you want to consider, how does your property, the finished product, compare to this? You know that this is probably from the last time it was sold or rented. So it looks like this was, so it looks like this was the last time it sold, which was this year. So yeah, that's what it looks like, and this rented for $995. So you can do this over and over again for each of the properties. And then you can use Rentometer to come up with your first inkling, which I would say that my inkling is that this home, depending on the final quality, I know it's going to be renovated, but if it's renovated very well, it should rent for around $1,000 a month. If it's renovated so-so, if it's in keeping with, kind of what we just saw on the Frolic Drive. It's got square tiles instead of rectangular. If it's got dated, like faux countertops instead of stone, then maybe you're looking at $850 to $875. And really the exterior is going to dictate a lot of that. Maybe you could even push up to $900, but I would say $1,000 is only possible if you do a high level of renovation. So let's go to our second ingredient in our recipe, Zillow. While Zillow is massively flawed with their data, what kind of the best use case that I find with Zillow is using it as a predictor to make sure that I'm not underlisting a property. So if I've used this a number of times, that it only works if you haven't listed your property for rent yet. So for example, Zillow in their algorithm uses, and Redfin does the same thing, they use the list price of a property far too heavily in predicting the value. So if you listed a house for sale at $150,000, even if the value is $120,000, Zillow is going to see that it is listed at $150, and it's going to interpret that as a data point. And it's going to say that, oh, the value of this house is $143,000. Well, without that $150,000 data point, it would say $130 or $120. Yeah. So it uses current listings as data points when it shouldn't. But that's an appraisal-based argument. But here it says, here's your rent estimate of rental prices. So if this were to say $975, then you would want to go, I shouldn't list this at $850 because Zillow in the data that they're pulling is saying that, hey, we see some reasons to think that it should rent higher. But seeing $850 here doesn't tell me that we can't get $975. It just says, okay, Zillow in their data point, which is pulling from the history of this project, which you can see, it wasn't finished, and so it's pulling from the history of this home, but it's saying that, hey, even though the sale value of this home and the other factors there, we see enough data to support an $850 a month rental. So, okay, that's great. That tells me that we're not leaving meat on the bone. All right, let's go to our final step. When you have the first two checked off, now it's time to go to the gut. The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. The matter of the heart is the heart of the matter. That's a fun saying that I hear from some very savvy and wise pastors. And I think that one of the things about the heart and the gut is sometimes they align and sometimes they're very powerful. But in real estate, you've got to be really careful to guard your gut from listening to your heart. And I hear this a lot on the sales side when I'm talking to homeowners and we're trying to figure out what the right price is for the home. You hear a lot of heart matters bubble up and say, I put this in it, or I did this, or these are the memories we have. It's like, man, frankly and respectfully, that doesn't matter. The only matter that matters is what a ready, willing, and able buyer would pay for your property. That is the only thing, and that is based on comparable sales. And in rental listings, it's the same approach, but it is a little more forgiving than the sale pricing. So you want to consult your Rentometer report. You want to dig deeply in that and to see what your comparable properties truly are. You'll see some rents that seem very high or some that seem just dirt cheap. And if you look into them, if you can find property photos, you might find that the very high ones have been gorgeously renovated, and that may show you that there's some northward migration that you can do as you're doing these renovations. And because the subject property that we're walking through as an example is not yet finished, a lot of the assumptions and analyses are going to depend heavily on that final product. So when it's finished, we'll walk through it, we'll take stock of what do we see here, and then how does that compare with the market around us. And what your gut can do is based on your personal experience or the experience of your property manager and their collective group of collaborators. You can say, Zillow says this and Rentometer says this other thing. I think we can go up from here. Or, man, Zillow says this will rent for $1,200 a month, but I'm looking around and seeing really good looking stuff for $1,000. And so maybe we need to go here. Your gut can be a mitigating factor and can inform what risk you want to take in that pricing. The rental market is a little more forgiving of overpricing than the sale market. I would call overpricing, when it comes to selling your personal home, the chief sin of real estate sales. It is stinky. Buyers know it. Sellers, everyone but the individual seller knows it. People know it, and people see it. They write it off, and they don't want to come back to it except to get blood. The rental market doesn't really work like that, and people are moving so fast commonly in the rental market that there's a new batch of incumbents that come up. And so if you need to reposition your price down because you assessed a higher value than the market is willing to bear, or if the market changes while you're marketing, then you can adjust, and the market's pretty forgiving in that. But what is not super forgiving is underpricing. So on this subject property, because it's not finished, I'm going to make the following assumptions. I'm going to assume that the kitchen has shaker style cabinets. I'm going to assume that it's got stone countertops. It's not a huge kitchen, but just simple stone countertops, subway tile backsplash, and that the bathroom is cute. And then your floors, because it's a total renov. So your floors throughout the house are cute. Your trim is like cute trim. It's not like that pine cove stuff, but just cute. It's not super hard. Just do it cute. And if that's true, and if it's cute from the curb, then this particular property in Midwest City, I would be pushing for $1,000 minimum, but probably up to $1,075 or $1,100 per month. And especially if at that time, like if you were, say, putting your house on the market in May or June, those are traditionally high seasons for people beginning to look for lease signings and moving, during the summer. And so if I looked around in June and didn't see any other 3-beds on the market, then I would be willing to take a bigger stab at that high value than I would if there were 10 other cutely renovated 3-beds. So a lot of it's just, it's determined by the market at the time. If this property ended up being a renovated but a little bit dated just straight off the renovation, like square tiles instead of rectangular, stained cabinets instead of shaker style painted, or extremely dark stained cabinets, faux stone countertops. If you saw enough things like that, then I would say, okay, you probably want to push for $975 or $1,000, but probably $975, because that 9 and the lack of the extra digit is going to really port into the consumer's mindset. So anyways, gut can be an extremely valuable factor. The deeper your personal experience, or your property manager and their community's personal experience in an area, the more the gut is worth listening to, I would say. But let your gut inform you specifically as to how much risk you can bear. If you are not wanting to take risks at all, and you say, hey, I want to cover this debt as soon as possible, and I want to get the best tenant I can, then I'm saying, don't go very risky with your pricing. If you can bear a little bit longer than average vacancy, then take the spectrum. I would say always price within the spectrum. Don't jump outside of what the market is even within reason willing to do. But if you can bear a little bit longer vacancy and you're willing to hold out to find that top value, top quality tenant, then price towards the top. Market like a beast. Professional everything. Don't do anything, halfway. Just professional everything. Market it well, or hire a property management company that does those for you, and find that premium tenant. And that's going to always be easier if your house is shiny. All right. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you understand how a recipe for establishing rental values depends on multiple ingredients, and by using them together, they can inform and mitigate or reconfirm each other. That is a useful tool, and if there's anything else that we can teach you, we would love to be a part of your personal investing experience. And if that comes down to property management, helping you buy or sell investment properties, or helping someone you know and care about buy and sell their personal home, we are delighted to take those opportunities. Have a wonderful day ahead, and stay safe.